أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Allah subhanahu jalla wa ala said, يسألونك عن الأهلة قل هي مواقيت للناس والحج. During this time of the year, the moon becomes very happy, because throughout the year nobody talks about the moon as much as they talk about it when we get close to Ramadan. As soon as we get close to Ramadan, there appears the keyboard fuqaha, and they gather in the majlis on Facebook, and they have different madhabs. Some are PC, some are Mac, and there's so much discussion about the moon sighting or moon sighting, and everyone's given their opinion or verdict. And we've been bombarded with questions regarding this year, because a lot of things have happened. And in Surah Al-Baqarah, inshallah you'll hear tonight, Allah subhanahu says, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَهِلَّةِ. They ask you about the crescent, the moon. And this is something that also happened in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Non-Muslims would ask, and Muslims would ask about this great creation of Allah subhanahu, about the crescent and the moon. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not reveal a whole surah on astronomy, but what Allah subhanahu did to answer this question was He answered it with few words. قُلْ هِيَ مَوَاقِيتُ لِلنَّاسِ وَالْحَجِّ. That's the answer. They're asking about the crescent and how it appears and its shapes and its when is it born, so on and so forth, the new moon, the full moon. The answer came, say to them, it's a measurement of time for people in Hajj, period. End of statement. Hiya mawaqitu linnas, it's a measure of time for the people. This is for the affairs of the dunya. This is our calendar. Wal Hajj, this is the affairs of the deen, the ibadah. So Allah subhanahu, this one statement covered the affairs of the dunya and the deen. Hajj, and of course, is also for Ramadan and so on and so forth. So since we most likely will be bombarded with these questions again, because the Eid should be coming up in a few weeks, inshallah ta'ala, I thought since this ayah will be recited in Surah Al-Baqarah tonight, let's give a few points regarding moon sighting. Number one, the first point, today, global is local. Today, because of communication and technology, we're able to share information within seconds. So a global sighting today is a local sighting. So if the moon is seen in Yemen, ahlan wa sahlan. If the moon is seen in Dhaka, balo. If the moon is seen in South America, bueno, it's good. If the moon is seen in any part of the world, and it's established that it's seen, we accept it, because global is local today. And the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's never recorded in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam or the companions or the tabi'een that an information of a moon sighting came to them and they were able to fast the next morning, and they said, no, we're not taking that city sighting. Can you imagine, how can a believer hear that the moon of Ramadan has been sighted and say, I'm not going to fast tomorrow morning? As far as the narration of Qurayb, when he went to Ibn Abbas, that doesn't apply, because at Sham, the news could not travel to Medina. So today, global is local, that's point one. Point two, for any month to start, the Sharia requires 2 witnesses for the crescent, for any month, except Ramadan. Ramadan, you just need 1 witness to see the moon, Bismillah, begin the month of Ramadan. Every other month, you need 2 witnesses. What is the message here? The message here is that the sighting of the moon for Ramadan should not be something that's complicated. It should be something simple. It's so simple that a Bedouin came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, I saw the moon. Now, apparently the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not even know who this person was. The Prophet ﷺ said, do you testify there's nothing worthy of worship except Allah and that I am the messenger of Allah? He said, yes. Then the Prophet ﷺ commanded them to announce the sighting of the moon. A Bedouin, who the Prophet ﷺ did not even know, came and mentioned that he saw the moon, and the narration was accepted. So today, if it comes from a Muslim who's not a sinner, the narration also has to be accepted. So one witness for the month of Ramadan and two for everything else. But we've made it the opposite. We've made the moon sighting for Ramadan so complicated that at times we destroy the happiness of Ramadan, and the rest of the months nobody cares. Where there's 2 witnesses required every month, nobody cares, nobody knows, nobody talks about it. It's not on Facebook, it's not on Twitter, it's nowhere else. But where only 1 witness is required, we overcare, we overcomplicate, we overanalyze things. Where we find in the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, what witness is sufficient. The next point I want to talk about, and this is the last point, is because it was a big issue this year. What if the astronomers say that it's impossible to see the moon tonight, and someone in the world, a group of Muslims, say, we saw the moon? What do you do? Now, of course, Islam does not deny science. It accepts astronomy. But what do we do in this situation? Do we go with what the astronomers say, it's impossible to see the moon tonight, and tell those people, we're not going to take your witness because it's impossible for the moon to be seen tonight? Or do we take the witness of the people who say, we saw the moon tonight? Well, I'll give you some evidences. Number 1. The witness of a believer should never be rejected if it's someone who's not a sinner. If we have one idle person that says he saw the moon, that witness should be accepted even if the astronomers say it's impossible to see the moon. Why? Because the Sharia has mandated and linked the legal ruling for the month of Ramadan to begin not with astronomy, but with the witness of the moon being seen. Here are the evidences, textual and intellectual evidences. Number 1, according to the astronomers, the lunar year is 354.37 days. Every month is 29 days and a fraction. So it adds up to 354.37 days for the year. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ broke this rule. He said the month is 29 or 30 days. So if you make the month 30 days, and the month is 30 days when? When it's cloudy, you can't see the moon, you count 30 days. So if the month is going to be 30 days, that 29 and a fraction, 0.5 something, is missing, which means at the end of the year, if that year you have a bunch of cloudy days, you're going to have more than 354.37 days in that lunar year, which is more than the astronomical calculations. So the Prophet ﷺ broke the standard of the astronomical calculations and emphasized on seeing the moon. If you don't see it, count 30 days. Number 2, the Prophet ﷺ said, من اقتراب الساعة انتفاخ الأهلة وأن يرى الهلال لليلة فيقال هو ابن ليلتين. The Prophet ﷺ said that amongst the signs of the hour, close to the hour, the crescent will be larger. And when it will be seen, the crescent will be seen at night, it will be said, this crescent is 2 nights old. So the crescent that's supposed to be born at that night will come across as it's 2 nights old. Whereas according to astronomical calculations, it should be 1 night old. But there's an intifakh of the ahillah, there's an enlargement of the crescent as we get close to the hour. And perhaps something of this nature happened, which is recorded in Sahih Muslim, that a group of people went traveling and they were looking for the moon, and they saw the moon, and someone said it's Ibn Laylatain, that the moon is 2 nights old. Someone said that it's 3 nights old because the moon looked big. Then they went to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu and said, look, we were looking for the moon to start the month, and when we saw the crescent, it looked as if it was 2 nights old. Another one was saying it seemed that as if it was 3 nights old. What should we have done? The Prophet then Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, which is recorded in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَدَّهُ لِلرُّؤْيَا فَهُوَ لِلَّيْلَةِ رَأَيْتُمُوهُ. So Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has extended it so that you can see it. And that moon will be for the night that you saw it. Meaning, regardless if it looks like it's 2 nights old or 3 nights old, as long as you saw it as the first night, it will be counted as it's a new crescent. So here we see that the size of the moon doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the astronomical data says. What is regarded is that if the crescent is seen and there's a witness that is claimed to be seen, we start the month of Ramadan. Now, Allah subhanahu made this easy, because if we were to go by astronomical calculations, every Muslim would have to be, or a good amount of Muslims would have to be astronomical experts in trying to figure out the visibility of the moon and so on and so forth. Allah made it easy. If someone claims to have seen the moon and he's trustworthy, we accept the narration, we go on. But what do? We do it the other way. We make it difficult for ourselves, right? What Allah has made easy, He made the month of Ramadan. What witness? Uncomplicated. We have a witness, we want to verify the witness with astronomical calculations, and then that witness has to be verified with other witnesses who know that witness, and we just make it so difficult for ourselves. And finally, in the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, calculations existed. So when that Bedouin came, he never said to anybody, well, check with the calculations, if the moon's supposed to come out tonight, because this is the Bedouin, we don't know who he is, we need to verify his information. The Prophet ﷺ, based on that one narration, began to fast. But if this discussion just went over your head, then here's what you do. What you do is, if you don't know what to do, you follow your masjid. Very simple. The masjid where you make your salawat, the masjid where you're going to spend your Ramadan, you make your tarawih, your iftar, your suhoor, your itikaf. Make Ramadan with them and make Eid with them, and respect the opinions of others. And the fact that we have different dates of Ramadan around the world doesn't mean this is disunity. Having different dates existed in the time of the Sahaba, where they had different dates for Ramadan. It doesn't mean that we're disunited. These are matters of valid ijtihad. So fast with your local masjid where you can pray Taraweeh and perform Ramadan. And let's respect other opinions that are valid opinions. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.